You got spare game codes or any digital goods? There is a place you can sell them in less than 1 minute. Watch. Go to g2a.com. Click Start Selling. Fast login. Go to My Account and click on Selling tab. Sell new item. Enter name, code, set a price. And done. G2A.com Digital Marketplace. Global selling simplified.
Alright, welcome back to the StarLadder kickoff season, where today we have Group D featuring Firebat, Tej, Forsen and Renmen. Renmen took a 3-0 lead over Forsen, taking them on in the winners bracket, where he will face either Firebat and Tej, which is the next match we are showing.
Yeah, dominating fashion from Renman so far. Forsen didn't seem to have the best luck, got both the explosive sheep and the Doomshira that Paul did better, but looking at Tej and Firebat's lineup, they both have the Warlock, they both have the Rogue. I would be surprised if that wouldn't be I guess the slower Warlocks, maybe Handlock or Malilock. I would actually probably expect at least one of them to be bringing Malilock, and we see the Mage and the Warrior as well. I think from Tej it's likelier to be the Patron, and I would expect Firebat would be running, I guess, something aggressive like the Flamemaker.
Yeah, I've always liked Firebat's picks for events. You see him often play his Rogue, which is very good. We've seen him play Freeze Mage a lot before. I'm not sure what Mage he's bringing today, because I haven't really seen much of Firebat recently. I haven't had the opportunity. And the Warlock, he's always had a favour for kind of mid-Zoo, Zoo. So mid-Warlock's kind of the stronger version of that right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. But like we said earlier, Warlock is that class that has so many viable options right now. You can really bring anything from the viable to archetypes right now. So it'd be interesting to see what these guys bring. Tej has played a lot of Handlock in the past, so maybe we'll see that. But we won't know until the games.
Yeah, Firebat though has been known for Freeze Mage. I know Purple Drank is a big Freeze Mage player. Did play that at DreamHack, so I would expect him to go for more aggression, as Freeze Mage seems to be a bit shaky right now, but that's what he's been playing the past few months now. So should be jumping into the game now any moment. But if you look at just at these lineups, kind of like Firebat's position, I mean, Rogue is generally quite good against Patron, especially if he's playing one of the slower Warlocks as well. It's good against Patron. I think maybe the Mage might be the weak point, and same with the Warrior being the weak point for Tej. Kind of seems to be the case when you have two of the same classes, but I think the big upset here will be what type of Warlock, what type of Mage, and what type of Warrior these players are bringing today.
Yeah, well, they're the question mark classes for us right now with these two players. And we actually, in the first game here, Tej leading with the Warrior and Firebat with the Oil Rogue, which is the only viable Rogue right now. There's nothing else out there. But the Warrior, we can't see his hand right now, but it could be Control Warrior. I mean, Tej has played some Control Warrior in the past, and it's not bad. It's not as good as Patron, but still not a bad deck.
I think it just depends on the matchups. It's vastly different. There are definitely positions where you'd rather have Control Warrior, especially against both Freeze Mage and against Patron. You'd rather take your chances with Control Warrior. Now, Armor Smith doesn't tell us anything. I think it's more likely that Firebat is actually going to be the Rogue here. So backstab SI on the Armor Smith, not a bad move to start off. I think to notice that he attacked on the first turn, then he got the daggers on turn 2, he attacks to phase. It's not standard, I guess, but he was figuring he'd be likely to re-dagger anyway. 2 Fan of Knives, though, it's an awful card against Warrior, Sap and Sprint, so if we see something to stack an axe here, it's not going to be much of an answer from Firebat.
Oh wow, so he's got the coin despite here to take care of this SI7. It looks like Patron Warrior, with the tech card there being Big Game Hunter. I mean, some patrons do tech in a few little things here and there, Big Game Hunter being one of them. So like you said, the Rogue can have a very good matchup against Patron because it has such a very clean way of dealing with their board. How much do you think it's in Rogue's favor, would you say?
I'd put it at maybe like 60%, 60, 65. It depends on the draw. It's worse if we don't have the coin. Now, this scenario where you just have a slow start with these fans, it's serious, but it's not as serious as not throwing a sprint in the game. And if you have maybe a dead turn 3, you can come back, but if you have dead turn 7 and 8 without having a sprint, as you maybe have, let's say, a sap and a flurry in hand or nothing else, that's a lot more serious.
He drops a big game hunter here. It loses a lot of value versus Rogue. Dr. Boom is not as popular in Rogue as it used to be. Some people still run it, but it's kind of been rotated out. So, and you don't want to drop the Frothing Berserker just yet. That's a very important combo piece in most cases.
Yeah, the idea is that now everyone's playing Malilock, and Malilock has 2 big game hunters, so Dr. Boom a bit, I guess not as popular going to that now. We have a lot of draw though, and a nice scenario here for Thijs, but the main idea is if the Rogue draws the sprints, the Rogue can set up a ward with maybe 1-2 minions and then have that Blade Flurry ready to go. So as soon as there's a patron on the board, as soon as there's a Warzone commander, it just gets flurried and cleared, and you can keep the control on the board dealing with those few minions. So it's not a good scenario as Thijs got all of this free draw, but it would have been worse if he had a big board presence, maybe with a Shredder or you know, let's say even a possible Thorazon.
So the Lopez probably come down here. He hasn't got really much else to do. Fortunately, that Death Spite has gone now, so he can't take it out. But looking at Thijs, he's got a Death Spite available to him this turn, and you could use that Acolyte Pain to finish off this Lofeb and regain the board. And he'll have that Whirlwind effect ready for when he draws that Patron, but he hasn't drawn them yet, and it's getting to that turn soon where he'll want to start comboing.
He has a lot of burst potential though with both the Whirlwind and 2 Frothing, so if he gets an Emperor now, he's going to be threatening a lot of damage, especially if Firebat starts filling out the board. But this is looking like a possible sprint. So what's going to happen? He looks to be playing Earthring. I actually top deck the Paladin Sphere, so that's definitely strong. Without the Paladin Sphere, there would have been a sprint here, no question. But no prep from Firebat. A second sprint is not good. 1 would be enough in this case, and Thijs is just in complete control of this game.
Yeah, Thijs is looking very good here. I like to Shredder fast here because it might force him to use his Death Spite prematurely here and not be able to use his effect on the Patron combo when he gets it, or he might just ignore them. I'm not sure. He's got an Execute here to work with as well. He might fish for something else with the Gnomish Inventor, but I'm not sure what else you could really want. You've kind of got most of your good removal cards available to you now. Oh, we see Grom. Grom is a card that I've seen some people kind of cycle out now. What do you think on that?
It seems maybe, 3 weeks ago people were cycling it out, adding in Dr. Booms, for example, or just more 5-drops. But about this week, for the last 2, it's been in almost every single Patron deck. Now, Execute Battle Rage is coming out. I mean, without a prep, I'm not seeing Firebat getting back into this game. I mean, Thijs has a comfortable health total. If he was at 15, maybe he could be a bit scared about the situation, but now I think this sprint will be important. What does Firebat end up drawing into? We're looking for a Deadly Poison. He's looking at a Sap. Wow, okay.
Wow, that's not a great Sap target right there. We're looking at it's very strange seeing Warrior draw more cards than Rogues these days. It's still something I haven't got quite used to. Rogue is just that class you kind of associate with mass draws since its Gadgetzan days. And even now, Warrior is one of those decks that can really compete with Rogue with card draw. It's just crazy. But I like Firebat's play here. He's gone for the more aggressive stance here. He doesn't want to leave this game going on too long.
He's desperate in the situation. He's seen 1 Armor Smith already, so he figures, okay, if there's going to be a second Armor Smith, I've lost this game. If not, I'm likely to win after the sprint into maybe an Eviscerate or something like that. But from Thijs, I think he may just need to keep on drawing.
So he's got plenty of options to deal with this minion. He's got to need to decide how he wants to do it. He's got an execute. No, he hasn't got the execute anymore. Sorry, my mistake. I mean, he's got Cruel Taskmaster in a rage. He's got. Wait, is that a Grom he's hovering over? Okay, so he's just going to clear the minion with the Grom here. He's not really valuing the Grom to finish the game up for him here.
This is weird, yeah. I would have liked for him to try to take for the Armor Smith or the possibility of even the Belcher. But perhaps he's only running one of them and he's giving us an indication of that here.
The thing with that player as well, Eviscerate's such a common card for rogues, and with Sprint, it's a very easy way to kind of find it. So Thijs just must not value this Grom at all. He must just doesn't see he needs it to win this game.
Overall, though, that Eviscerate was painful. Firebat had to give up that last damage that he needed. Now, also his sprint was very uneventful. He got a lot of mid-range minions, which is the exact opposite of what he wants. Now he would want. He got one Eviscerate, but he'd be wanting Deadly Poisons. He'd be wanting Blade Flurries. Some people even running the South Sea Deckhand, which would be excellent here.
Yeah, he wants those cards that are going to help him close out the game. The only thing Firebat has with an advantage here, he just has that four attack weapon sitting there. So he's probably putting in Thijs' head that at any point he decides to commit too much to the board, he can probably just play Flurry away. So maybe Thijs is probably fishing for cards here, and he'll want to be able to kind of take out Firebat in kind of one sweep if he can. He's got 2 Frothing Berserkers in a rage, 2 Whirlwinds. But he kind of relies on Firebat having a bit of board too to make those Frothing Berserkers so big.
I mean, the combos can be scary next turn. Preferably than an Emperor, but next turn he can possibly go for 2 Frothings, Warsong, Whirlwind, and an Inner Rage. And that should probably be close to lethal depending on how many minions Firebat ends up dropping out. But I think he's going to have to rely on getting the Blade Flurry at some point here.
Yeah, definitely. And luckily for Thijs, in a way, that sprint, like you said, just gave him a big range of minions, which he didn't really need. So Firebat might feel that he needs to challenge the board here and play a lot of minions, which will only play into Thijs' favour ultimately, because he just makes those giant Frothing Berserkers in the next 1 or 2 turns.
You know, Backstab is coming down, but with a 4-attack minion on the board, this is a bit painful. This might be looking like possibly lethal here from Thijs' point of view.
It's crazy because he's got 25 health here. You shouldn't be thinking I'm going to be losing at 25 health, but this is what Patron does. It's kind of the reach that deck has, which is incredible.
I think Oskaga wasn't thinking about the possibility of getting lethal from 29 and a taunt up the HPL, but I mean, stuff happens, you know.
Patron happens.
They at least kill the minions, that's slightly better, but this is looking close now. So if we count, we're looking at 24, 5, 6. This should be. No wait, no, it's close. It's not enough, sadly. No.
So you might go for a Patron turn this time instead of going for the Frothing?
I think you may have to, yeah. Draw out the board, but the thing is there's 2 Blade Players left for Firebat here, so you should expect that to be cleared as soon as he plays it out.
Okay, so he's gone for the Frothing play instead. Let's see how much attack these guys get.
Yeah, it's just not enough though. Needed the Emperor down. But I mean, he's wasting so much on this. He's dealing, what, is it 12? And trading that as well. I mean, couldn't he just use the Patron on this?
He had an Execute as well, which is a bit strange. I mean, Patron, he could have built out a Patron to 5 attack with Inner Rage. He had a Whirlwind as well, which would have procced Execute on one of those minions. So, how much was that Van Cleef? Was he 6/6?
6/6, yeah.
So yeah, you could have executed that one. You could have traded the 5/2 Patron into the Azure Drake, and he'd still have Patrons left and be able to still push for damage.
Yeah, I think overall this game just turned around hard. I mean, Thijs seemed a bit too eager, sadly here. Could even see Thalnos coming down. Just figuring that there's possibilities of a second wave of Warsong here. Inner Rage doesn't do much, so Firebat goes from being way behind to way ahead in one turn here. I think the start of it was probably Gromma's.
Yeah, he threw away a lot of damage, trying to deal with some of Firebat's threats. Got a bit greedy, I think, with his last turn. Well, or not even greedy. I mean, this Frothin's a very high value card in Patron because of how much damage they can do, but he just had a much more viable way of dealing the board last turn, and now he's kind of fighting from behind where before he was quite ahead, like you said. So yeah, strange how maybe one turn. I mean, the Grom turn, like you said, was a bit strange, but I think the last turn was stranger, and probably the last turn is probably what put him this far behind.
It all stems from Firebat's brilliant turn with Tinker's Oil on that Recombobulator. I mean, it put so much pressure on Thijs that he couldn't set up for that easy lethal. I mean, we think about Grom with Inner Rage, we think about 2 Frothings and a Whirlwind and a Warsong. That should be easily 20 damage, but he had to use all of that burst just to clear minions. So I think if Firebat had gone for the sprint instead of the Tinkers, he would probably have lost his game, but excellent play to him.
And this is what Firebat's like. He takes the initiative, knows what he needs to do to close out that game, and Firebat does take game number 1 with a Rogue against a Patron Warrior. And this is the match you want to win with Rogue, really, because on paper it's very much in your favour. So now Thijs will get an opportunity to use this Patron again against Firebat's lineup, but it very much depends on what this Mage and Warlock are, the big question marks right now for Firebat's lineup.
Yeah, impressive play by Firebat here. You know, he knows when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. He was behind in the match, and he took the risk he needed to take. It could have, I guess, easily just been shut down with a shield block and an execute on that minion, you know. But Thijs didn't have what he needed in that case, and now we're looking at Thijs with the Rogue against what looks to be a mid-Warlock from Firebat. Without the coin it gets rough, but with the coin it's usually fair for the Rogue.
And like we said earlier, Firebat, kind of known for being a big fan of Zoo back in the day. Mid Warlock's the more popular version of that deck right now, so it's no surprise to me that he's running it. It's a deck that he's been very successful with in the past.
In BlizzCon champion of a Zoolock as his main deck, it kind of speaks for itself. Generally though, Miracle was stronger than the Oil Rogue against this type of Zoo, and the Zoo was also gotten stronger in the mid to late game, whereas before it was stronger in the early game. With that, I guess that Dr. Boom, these Void Colors and Mal'Ganis as well, you know, so many targets now that the Rogue needs to sap, and they can just play them again often.
And this is the lineup Firebat actually used the Gfinity Spring Masters 2. You used a very similar lineup where you won the first one, but with Hunter instead of Warlock, because Face Hunter was very popular back then. So I like players like Firebat who stick to their classes. Life Coach is another person who kind of sticks to very similar lineups. Hyped is very similar as well. I like players who kind of stick to their guns instead of experimenting with a lot of different things.
Well, I like playing against players that, you know, are predictable. It makes it so much easier, especially, you know, in formats like Kingwin. I really enjoy it. I played against both Dog and Hype there, and if you know, like, if you can just bring the counters you favored, you know, no matter who it is really, unless you play horribly.
But that goes to show that players who do a lot of research excel in that format, because you'll just research your opponent, you'll figure out what they've been playing a lot recently, be it in tournament or on stream, and then you can build a lineup to counter one or two of their decks which you predict them to bring. But how would you say this game is going right now? It's looking like Firebat has a lot of options available to him. He's got this Powerful Whelming now, which will be able to take out this Violet Teacher, but it does drop all his Death Rattles out on the board at once.
Thijs is a very strong but clunky hand. What you want is a mix of minions and tempo spells, 2 preps, and since he now drew the Eviscerate, I would put Thijs ahead in this series. It can all change, I guess, with a good implosion, but you know, Firebat is looking to be need to do tap soon, and we have the Blade Flurry as well, which is excellent in the late game, or guess the late mid game, early late game. Now Juggler is just not going to be enough. We need to focus on implosion.
And unfortunately for Thijs, he hasn't drawn any Fan of Knives yet, which is a very strong card against this deck because of all the 1/1s it spawns from minions and the implosion. So that Blade Flurry, oh, he gets the Tinkers, so he's got a very high damage Blade Flurry if he wants it, but...
I mean, if he goes just for Hero Power Tinkers now, goes face, there's nothing like Firebat can do except tap. So if he's willing to take that, what is it, 8 damage to face, I think he might have to do that. I mean, if he drops, what, 1 Azure Drake, it's not going to be enough. If he goes to the Blade Flurry, it's still a bit awkward right now.
It's just not a threatening board to Blade Flurry, really. It's something you want a Fan of Knives more. Fan of Knives deals with 1/1 so easily. Throwing your Blade Flurry away so early would be quite costly if Firebat was to tap into the right stuff to replenish his board to maybe a greater value than a bunch of tokens. So it's a very awkward turn for Thijs here.
I mean, it's just on a whole turn for Firebat though, and it would give Thijs the option to use 7 mana to, you know, put stuff on the board early in that case. I mean, here he can just trade into the 3/3 and drop whatever he wants. Drop the Sea Giant for free. But okay, he goes for the Flurry now. This works out better because of the Sea Giant, but he might even be forced to use a Doomguard Firebat. Drops the Doomguard.
Yeah, I think Doomguard's excellent here. Well, that's a very good top deck for Firebat. Just continue putting on the pressure here. We've just seen a lot of resources come from Thijs' hand, and now he's got to deal with a 5/7, so he's going to need something like an Eviscerate here to be able to clean this up.
Nothing being drawn here, and this is becoming very dangerous for Thijs.
Oh, it's not far away from lethal here. Firebat would only need to draw, say, a Powerful Whelming. Oh, an Abusive Sergeant. So close, but not quite there. I can imagine he's going to hold on to this. Or he might just drop it down to put some more pressure on.
I think he should hold on to the Abusive. It's a tough one, though. I mean, there's no direct damage from hand except the Doomguard, and a second Doomguard will be enough anyway.
And that's if he's running 2 Doomguards. Some people don't run 2, they only run 1. Maybe put like a Bane of Doom in as well, because they just have a lot of demon targets anyway, but that very much depends on how Firebat's built this deck. Oh, Sap comes from the hand.
A useless Sap in this position, maybe with the Void Color. But still, you need to draw more. I think what has to come down now.
To Tinkers, maybe.
The scenario though, yeah, if you go Sap Tinkers, there's a possibility of it hitting the Ashes Drake you could trade directly in, but that should be not too bad. Sap.
So you have to, you have to Sap this Void Caller, and then hope this Tinkers.
I guess a more safe play would just be to go for the Paladin though, and trade both the minions in.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But oh well, okay. Goes for the Tinkers and does end up hitting. I mean, it would be a disaster if he hadn't hit, you know.
Yeah, it would have been so awkward. He would have lost a lot of damage and would have lost board.
Tempo as well, yeah. I mean, Firebat drops 2 minions, and what is Thijs going to do then? You know.
The problem is with Thijs here, he can't use his health as a resource here to clear away some minions, so Thijs can just drop 2 more demons, and now he's got to find a way to deal with these guys. He needs to draw, say, maybe an anti-heal bot here, or maybe another Sap. Okay. Still, that's still awkward. The SI7 hasn't got enough attack to deal with either of these. And
yeah, I mean, this is just over, yeah. It's not enough. There's no way. Oof. So, Firebat going up 2-0.
Firebat's on fire here. Yeah. He's just steamrolling Thijs here.
He's playing so well. Perfect plays here from Firebat, and Thijs is just overwhelmed. Firebat 2-0 up, only 1 game away from making into the winner's match here. Only has the mates left, and that's going to be the interesting one for me. I'm looking forward to see what type of mates he's going to be bringing here.
I'd like to see him bring Freeze Mage personally, because it's just kind of like a signature deck I associate with Firebat. But it would also be interesting to see him bring something else. Maybe Echo's Mage. Flame. We've already seen Flamewalker Mage already. So not that exciting, but I'd like to see Echo's Mage. And it looks like Freeze Mage, so Ty's sticking to his guns here, which I like.
Now,
Not Ty, sorry, Firebat. My apologies.
with a certain amount of practice, you do actually become slightly favored with Patron, and it's often about whirlwinding your own minions with nothing on the board for your opponent. The idea of drawing a lot and saving your minions to get huge swings with the Armor Smith. But this hand is decent for both players, actually.
Yeah, he gets the Loot Hoarder. An amazing card for Freeze Mage right now. They both got Loot Hoarders. I think he's got the Firebat to clear it, but I don't think Firebat's too concerned about that.
Now, yeah, the Loot Hoarder is dropping down. This basically gives it away as a control mage. He's trying to stop the Acolyte from getting insane value, though. We usually see that being the reverse. The Freeze Mage getting value to the Acolyte, but not maybe the Warrior.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to deal with. He hasn't got a Frostbolt sitting there. I mean, do you Doomsayer here? It's not really worth it, I don't think. I think you just Arcane Intellect and fish some more stuff.
Yeah, and then you fade into your opponent's Loot Hoarder. The idea is, Firebat doesn't care about his health, he cares about his armor. So health from maybe 20 to 30 is irrelevant, you can just use weapons freely. But when he starts building up that armor, that's when it gets interesting. Now, interesting on Tide, I think you may possibly need to just go Fireworks to face. The Frothing wouldn't be that dangerous here, it should be usually charged. The Grim Patron is almost worthless in this matchup as well. It's more about the Armor Smith and the Whirlwind.
Yeah, in my experience in this matchup, I haven't played a lot of these matches because Freeze Mage is not that popular, but yeah, Patron, the only thing really Patron gives you is a lot of armor. If you get a lot of whirlwind effects off it with the Armor Smith, but until he draws that Armor Smith, it doesn't have a lot of value.
The important card is definitely going to be Grom, looking at this. Dr. Boom is excellent as you can't kill him as the Freeze Mage if you have low health, because you just die as your Ice Block doesn't proc on your own turn. That may come into play here, but he's kind of slowing down for Firebat. He has everything he could want though, and from Ty's, he doesn't have the Death Bite he wants.
The thing is, even if this Firebat was to lose this game, and it's nowhere near that point right now, he still has 2 other games. He has Midlock the face with Freeze Mage, which is generally a good matchup for Freeze Mage if it can find that early kind of sustain. And then he has the... What else does Taj have left? He has the Rogue as well. So Firebat's still looking very comfortable regardless of how this game goes.
Yeah, the Rogue and the Warlock, I believe, yeah. Rogue and the Warlock. We haven't seen what type of Warlock it is. It should be interesting to see. Now we have the Doomsayer coming down. There is a Whirlwind and an Execute. You don't need the Execute really, but you wouldn't want to use the Whirlwind. I think this is just going to have to be Battle Rage and Hero Power, possibly with an X follow-up. Damage is damage, and the Firework isn't going to be good in the late game anyway, because you want to be holding on to that Despite for the Whirlwind effect, but he's gonna execute. I like this, yeah.
Yeah, you want to keep this Whirlwind. This Whirlwind is a very important tool for you to snowball your armor at a control later on, and kind of put that mage out of range of killing you. So he needs to hold on to that as long as possible. And the thing is with the mage, it's never really going to throw out enough targets for Whirlwind to be used outside of that. So it's good he took the initiative there with the Fiery War Axe and using the Execute after that.
Yeah,
oh wow!
I was very secure in this one. Gets the Taurus on, should be decent, but this Frothing is a bit scary.
Yeah, it still has the potential to get a lot more damage. Does he have? He didn't have a Frostbolt yet. Frostbolt, it's a very efficient way to deal with this Frothing Berserker.
How things are looking right now. Thijs kind of has everything he could ever want except the Despite in the Whirlwind. Grom is very important, the Warsong is important, the Frothing Whirlwind is important, and he has that Acolyte to keep things rolling. So, gotta give Thijs a slight edge here in this game. It depends on what the future draws for him will be more important than the draw of Firebat, but I think Firebat feels maybe a bit pressure to kill this Emperor. Maybe he goes for his own.
He still has a coin as well, so he could drop the loot order as well if he wanted, but
I think there's no chance of that.
No, I think the coin's too valuable at this point. Because he has a potential like Straza next turn if you really want to.
Technically, you know, doesn't know a Flame Strike though, and Flame Strike is the key card. He's thinking, okay, I want to save the Blizzard for a possible Bloodmage's Blizzard to clear patrons. If those are coming, Despite is massive for this matchup here. I think I'd start with probably just attacking the Acolyte of Pain though.
Into the Forest?
I think so, yeah. See what you get, because if you can execute, your whole turn changes.
Seems he's more interested in making a big board here.
I mean, you can trade first in to draw though. You know, you can go for whatever after the draw. Okay, just get one extra attack with that Frothing, but you can still have saved the patron. Now the Whirlwind is coming down. This is going to be close. You can kill the Emperor without, I guess, wasting a lot of his burst, and he has Despite and Grom to follow this up with. So I'd give Thijs a big edge in this game now.
Yeah, it's looking good for him. I mean, he's just swung the board really heavily here, having that massive Frothing Berserker, still keeping his Forest on as well to reduce his hang cost. And he's got another Frothing, he's got two of them, one's frozen at the moment, so it might force Firebat here to hopefully draw a Flame Strike or maybe Blood Mage Blizzard. Or does he not care?
He looks to be going on the offensive, but I mean, he figures, okay, even if I deal with this board, he can still just for weapon and or possibly a charge minion and get things done that way. So he figures probably I'll have to go aggressive and hope to top deck into some amazing combo later on, but it's just too much at this point for Firebat to deal with.
Yeah, if he goes on the aggressive now, he's only going to have about 2 more draws from the start of his turn, probably to live. But he does have that other ice block in hand, so if he draws another, if he draws another Fireball next turn, he's got coin, ice block, Fireball, and then he has Pyro. So maybe he's thinking about that.
I mean, he goes for the long shot to win the game instead of just hanging on, and I have a lot of respect for that.
I mean, yeah, going for the, say, Thanos Blizzard just to clear the board. He's still kind of hanging on a thread there because you've only got 2 health. And it's like I said, it's very easy for a warrior just to equip a weapon or get another charge minion from the Warsong to pop that block, and then you're just really far behind then. Whereas right now, he's put pressure on Thijs to kind of figure out what Firebat's got planned. It's a good mind game as well, taking these kind of very aggressive stance.
Yeah, Thijs is now just digging for that Armor Smith. He will have to use the hero power every turn from now on and pop the ice block again and again.
Wow, this board is just massive, but it might not make a difference because it's Freeze Mage, and Freeze Mage, if he gets the right draws here, he can maybe just finish him off. He definitely needs a Fireball or a Frostbolt.
I mean...
Oh wow, this is the Armor Smith.
Here's the Armor Smith, so that should seal this game out here. Should be going 2-1 for Thijs. I don't see a combination of draws from Firebat to actually finish this off.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about at the start of the game. It's the Armor Smith which throws this game on kind of in the Warriors' favour so heavily because of having these giant boards and just gaining tremendous amounts of armor. And the block is popped, so Thijs here sitting on 25 health. I don't think there's anything really that Firebat can do to do that much damage with still this Armor Smith in play. Like, it's such a bad situation for him.
Maybe he'll need to deal with that Armor Smithing to get an ice block up and then start to do damage. And be kind of a last case scenario. I wonder how much armor you can get from that blizzard. Might be a lot, depending a bit on how the minions lay onto the board.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 armor, right?
Yeah, now we basically have to hope that there's no damage from hand for Thijs, but we see that he does have a Death Spite and a Grom, so it's more than enough to finish it off.
Yeah, he's got 2 options here, and another armor smith. Oh dear. Not looking good. But Firebat, like I said, I don't think losing this game is a massive deal for him. He still has 2 very good matchups coming up. So unless he draws...
Beast Mage is excellent against Rogue. It depends a lot on the draw, but I think Beast Mage definitely has the upper hand there. He's also going to face a Warlock. Whereas, I think it's strongest against the mid Warlock. Probably weakest against the Handlock, as weird as that may seem, as we have the 2 heal bots and the Mountain Giant being the key card. People think the heal bot is the main thing, but it's more about the Mountain Giant.
And Jiraxxus as well is also another form of healing. So, like I said, they've got a lot of... And the Malilock runs a lot of healing as well, doesn't it?
It does, but the pressure is lower. The main idea behind Handlock is... Handlock with Freeze Mage is if there's a turn 4 Mountain Giant, the Freeze Mage is in panic mode. You have to start wasting Freeze on turn 4, which is not ideal. Or you start to use Burn. 1 Fireball ping isn't enough, so it's just a horrible scenario.
Alright, so Thijs takes that game. It's 2-1, getting a win on the board here. But still has a long way to go. He's got a Warlock deck, which we're got a big question mark over at the moment, and he has that Rogue. And it's going to be probably that Rogue matchup, that Rogue Mage matchup, which is going to be the big decider if this Warlock manages to get a win. So he's got to kind of decide what he wants to go for here. Does he want to go for the momentum and queue in this Rogue, and if he gets the win, he kind of has a big shift in momentum in his favour because that bad matchup is out of the way, or does he go for the Warlock and just try and keep the win streak going? But it looks like he actually just goes for the Rogue here, playing that bad matchup first. It's going to be a tough battle for Thijs right now.
He has an excellent hand though, about almost a perfect hand. He doesn't have the coin, but 4-drop plus low-tab is what you're going to be aiming for. You know, getting that 20 damage and then finishing the rest off with weapons and burst spells. So, considering the matchup, I think this might be looking okay for Thijs.
I mean, Firebat has a lot of his early stuff, which is useful. A lot of his card draw. So he hasn't drawn a lot of dead stuff. He's drawn Alex Straza a bit too early, but it's kind of nice to have that guaranteed kind of sitting in your hand. And the Blizzard, it's a bit clunky. I think it doesn't really do as much as, say, like a Frost Nova would right now to combo with that Doomsayer. And he does draw the Arcane Intellect as well, so continue to dig into that deck.
Yeah, the way to win this is definitely having a board and dropping a low tip onto the board, getting a second wave of attacks, and a card that's especially crucial is the Tinker's Oil, that can translate into 10 damage quite easily. Now, the Vile Teacher coming down, I still really like the Vile Teacher. People have been cutting out the Vile Teacher for Sweaters, and I think 2 Sweater, 1 Vile Teachers is the way to go at the moment. People were always playing 2 Vile Teachers, 1 Sweater, but some people even going as far as cutting out the Vile Teachers entirely because of the patron threat. But I like his idea of going for the Archer deck first, because I mean, Firebat generally shouldn't be overly concerned. I think this is a Frost Nova turn, but if he can somehow deal with the Doomsayer, he's in a good position.
Yeah, because he'll be able to keep that board, which you were talking about earlier, and then he'll be able to protect it with low fab. Come that turn where a Flame Strike or a Blizzard will come down. So we can't actually get into that turn if he can't. I mean, he's got Sap here, but it doesn't really deal with the problem. But you don't really want to waste any damage, do you? You don't want to waste an Eviscerate on this. You want to keep that for Firebat's hero.
I think this is going to be a Sap turn. I like Sap Tinker's Oil here, actually.
Yes, that sounds really good, because it puts that, you've got that weapon starting to hit that armor away, but it also makes the board even more threatening on top of that.
It essentially forces out a Flame Strike or a Blizzard, and depending on how the oil ends up landing, So he's looking at backstab. Okay, backstab is very expendable in this scenario. Deadly poison. He's gonna get full damage, so this is not bad either.
Yeah, 4 damage. Yeah, he didn't expend a lot of damage resources there. Basically, 1 charge of deadly poison, and like I said, the backstab's so expendable because it doesn't have a lot of value in this matchup, and he just develops a bigger board, making him Firebat want to use that AOE now. Just depending on which one he decides to use.
The main idea though is I don't like using the Abyss Ray. I think that's not as expendable as a Zap, you know. Because if we were looking at my suggestion, which would be, you know, Zap, Tinker's Oil. If he drops the Doomsayer again, you can just go Thalnos, Backstab, Flurry, and don't waste any damage because you'll just be killing with the Backstab, which you don't really need, and the AoE damage from the Flurry, getting all that damage to face in any case. But with his low tip down, this is looking excellent for Thijs.
Yeah, and he's got that Tinker's ready, that Blade Flurry prep. He's got, yeah, he's got a lot going on in his hand here, which could help him close out this game. This low feb's going to lock out that Flame Strike, and it looks like Firebat's just going to respond with probably just a raw Antonidas. He can't even coin Ice Lance anything, so he's just kind of putting a threat down here, hoping that Thijs will waste some damage or some removal on it.
Yeah, he's just hoping for this to be soaking up damage here, but I think a Zap is much more likely. This might even be close to lethal, depending on, okay, the oil doesn't land where he would prefer it to be landing, but I guess also the option of just flurrying for 5 and using the SI, but again then there's 2 damage wasted, where you don't want to be wasting that SI damage if you can avoid it, you know. I find the Zaps really expendable in this matchup.
Especially on the Antonidas now, because it basically gave Firebat a dead turn. He didn't do anything. He didn't do much dropping the Antonidas anyway, but by sapping it again, it just makes it completely obsolete. And now next turn, he's got to kind of reevaluate how he's going to approach this board, because he didn't use any minions or any hard removal or any damage removal to deal with this Antonidas. He just sapped it, and it was very effective.
I actually would have kind of liked him to go for the SI, because let's say that there's going to be a Frost Nova coming down, he can't trigger the SI without spawning a minion from the Violet Teacher. We do see the Flame Strike coming down easily, but I'm just thinking about, as Thijs doesn't obviously know the hand of Firebat, what is the most optimal play for that. But now, with Blade Flurry, this is getting close.
It's not a great draw for him though. A sprint would have been nice.
I think I kind of like maybe Blade Flurry, SI, and redaggering going to face even. It depends on what secrets are for Firebat, it's hard to tell at this point.
I don't think there's anything down for Firebat yet. I don't recall him playing a secret. So if he does go for Blade Flurry, he takes 2. So he puts him down to 3 health with a 3/3 on the board and a dagger. That seems like yeah, I quite like that. I
mean, in the scenario that he would maybe draw, I don't even know, something slow like a minion. He can't be, you know, wasting that 1 damage he gets from the hero power every turn.
Alright, so he's very close here, but Firebat does have some options in his hand to sustain. I mean, he could Alex himself, I suppose. Like, it gives him a lot of health, and Thijs' hand is very limited. And that 8/8 is a threat in itself, but we do see the sap, but that just gives Firebat another option to heal himself later on, back up to 15 health. So I quite like Alex here.
If we look at the scenario where he used to eviscerate on the Doomsayer, let's say if he sapped that, would there have been a turn where Doomsayer would have come in handy? I'm not sure. Probably don't think so. You know, he may have to use a second sap, possibly, but in this position he'd much rather use the eviscerate for that lethal, you know. So if we just turn this around, I think it would have been looking a lot better if he'd used the sap on Doomsayer instead of eviscerate there.
So he actually goes against the Alex play and decides to freeze and Doomsayer, or anti-heal bot. That's not going to be very useful now.
Very helpful here, as Thijs is on the aggressive, but if you're on defensive, it can be massive.
So that's the other sap gone now. So he actually gets an opportunity here to heal himself to 15 and still have the ice block up if he wants it. And he draws the next one as well, so he can kind of chain off ice blocks if he needs to, if he takes too much damage.
I kind of like Alexstrasza plus Ice Lance here. We keep the block alive, and Thijs has been giving off the idea that he doesn't have the strongest hand.
Or would you opt to... So for... 7, so that's 8 damage guaranteed with what he has on board, not including anything he has in his hand. He doesn't actually have anything in his hand at the moment, of course. Firebat doesn't know that, but did you think the Ice Lance has any value for Archmage? Because he's going to need to do a lot of damage to Thijs. Thijs still hasn't used any healing yet.
I think at this point it's just going to be, you know, can Thijs kill Firebat in the next 3 or 4 turns? If not, then Firebat will just, you know, zoom ahead. And is Firebat even looking at an aggressive Alexstrasza? I don't think it will be the play. Now, Alexstrasza comes down, no, Ice Lance, okay.
Oh, what a top deck. Still not enough to finish Firebat off though, but he gets a very effective way of dealing with that.
Yeah, I think one sprint could change the whole game, but at this point it's looking bleak for Thijs, even with the position. To note though, I mean, Firebat has a very slow hand. He'd want to be holding more burst, more AoE generally, so we may have to start drawing now.
Alright, so he's fishing for more cards, gets another Ice Lance.
Maybe even double Ice Lance Doomsayer, is that a possibility? Because he's looking at his Ice Block being popped now in the next turn, if he does nothing.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to go for. Yeah, I like that.
Because
it's tough though.
It's either double Ice Lance and try to control the board, or just there's no middle way in this case.
It's quite a hard turn. Ice Lance is quite a good resource for the Freeze Mage here, because he's still at 30 health and he's still going to have to find a way to beat him now that Alexstrasza has been used on himself. And Thijs still has that heal bot sitting there. He might have another heal bot, he might have an Earthen Ring. Oh, he draws a Blade Blow, so Thijs is still drawing quite clunky here. He's not drawing what he needs. He needs that sprint more than anything right now to recharge his hand, recharge his options. Because right now Firebat's just sustaining pretty effectively, and Thijs is not having the best ways to deal with it.
I mean, he potentially is what one of clearing. So then he just has to kind of give up the idea of clearing this board, and I guess just go face 3 dagger pass. I mean, you don't want to be giving him extra draw to the Acolyte really, and there's no reason dropping anything. You only gain 1 attack from the Blade Fury by having the spell damage, but it's just not going to be enough. It can potentially be useful. I mean, if he is, I guess, betting on drawing nothing in the following turn, but I don't think Thijs is going to be doing that. No.
So Firebat at this point has successfully dealt with Thijs' boards that he's thrown at him, and now this is going to give Firebat the opportunity to go on the offensive himself. Playing that Antonidas again a Frostbolt, which is a great draw for him because he managed to put another Fireball in his hand. And the one thing Firebat really needs right now, he needs as many spells as he can get to kind of to push for lethal, because he still has to tank through a heal bot and any other potential healing that Thijs has.
The thing is now, Thijs has an endless stream of fireballs. He can, Firebat has an endless stream of fireballs, and he can just go to face in this little Thijs can do about that. I mean, he has an Ice Block to follow up, so I think he'll just start ignoring his minions. As it's, you know, there's always the option of Thijs getting the second Eviscerate or some weapon combination to get the 3 lethal anyway, so starting to clear the minions doesn't make sense at this point.
And Thijs still doesn't have an option to deal with this Antonidas right now. He still needs to draw something. And he gets an Eviscerate. Okay, so he can deal with the Antonidas, but yeah, still, it's just awkward. Still, he's had too many. He's had a a string of bad draws, which has set him so far behind now. I think Firebat will probably close this out very easily. Because he still has 2 ice blocks to pop.
The heal bot may come in handy though. If you can both clear the Antonidas, go for the heal bot, and pop the ice block. Let's look at this scenario. Okay, so you have... It's too close. Yeah, he can't both clear and... You may need to get something out of that. Maybe a Kobold or a Thalnos.
If he was to get the Murloc, the 2-1 Murloc with charge, he would have been able to pop the block this turn. But the likelihood of that happening is very, very slim.
I mean, even a taunt might be okay. It feels like killing an Antonite is more important than the ice block though, so he does clear and off the heal bot, but still 16 damage is not a lot. As soon as one more burn spell is drawn from Firebat, he is just going to be out of this game. Tyson is going to be out of this game, yeah.
I mean, he's still got a Pyroblast to come. He's got no Ice Lance left. He's got 2 fireballs from the Antonidas. So Firebat's still got a strong range of damage spells. That Antonidas did so much work for him in the previous turns, recharging his hand with more damage, just putting on a really aggressive stance against Tej. And he's got an option for a Forest in here, or he could just Fireball, I guess. Just
Fireball, yeah, so he just has some lethal. It's unlikely there's going to be a second heal bot. You've seen the low tip, you've seen the heal bot already, so now it's just all for face.
Oh, wow, this was looking in Tej's favor for some time, but that's the typical rogue problem, is a string of really crippling draws, really passive draws that don't do anything, and all of a sudden Firebat turns this around. It looks like Tej knows this is game over.
So yeah, Firebat closing this series out 3-1. Well played to him.
Yeah, Firebat played excellently this series. And Tej is like no slouch, man. He's one of the strongest EU players. Had a very, very good year last year in Hearthstone, and you know, this was never going to be an easy game for both of them. It could have went either way, but Firebat played just so well, and sticking to his guns, like I said, with his lineup.
Yeah, I mean, Tej has been around for a year and a half now, and been consistently performing for all that time. I remember him way back in the beta; he was still doing well. But now Firebat is up 1-3-1. He's going to be facing our Russian player here in the winners match, Renman, and Tej is going to be facing Forsen. None of them out. Firebat only needs 1 game to advance to round of 8. Well, as Tej needs to both beat Forsen and then the loser of Firebat and Renman. So look at the position of the group right now.
So Renman takes on the world champion. That's a lot of pressure for an up-and-coming player.
You got spare game codes or any digital goods? There is a place you can sell them in less than 1 minute. Watch. Go to G2A.com. Click Start Selling. Fast Login. Go to My Account and click on Selling tab. Sell new item. Enter name, code, set a price. And done. G2A.com Digital Marketplace. Global selling simplified.